Welcome, everybody, to In Case It Happens. I'm John Darr with Darr Insurance, and this is my friend Marie Banks. And today we are going to talk a little bit about a really interesting case that happened, I guess, a few years ago now with a hole-in-one. And I'll kind of let Marie kind of set the stage. But basically, it was a charity event. And as everyone that's played in a charity event golf tournament knows, that they typically will have a hole-in-one contest or a hole-in-one prize on one or sometimes multiple holes. And in this situation, it was unique because somebody actually made a hole-in-one and thought they won a car, right? Wasn't it a car? Was it a car?
It was a car.
Yeah, it was a car. Thought they won a car, and turns out that there was a little issue with the insurance and some issues there that caused the problem. Hence, they ended up in Marie's office trying to claim what they rightfully should have gotten. So anyway, how'd I do? Was that pretty close?
That's pretty close. That's pretty good.
Good.
Missing some juicy details, but I can fill those in.
Yeah.
This case happened almost a decade ago. It was right about when I was fresh out of law school, and it was a Jerry Shackow special, because for those who are listening that might know who Jerry Shackow is, he's our founding partner at the law firm. He started the firm back in the 60s and a major lover of golf. So that's why personal injury law firm took on a case that had nothing to do with personal injury.
Right.
Because Jerry loves golf and he loves helping people. So somebody called our office upset. This gentleman had gone to a charity golf tournament, and at the charity golf tournament, a local car dealership had advertised that you could win a car if you got a hole-in-one. So he showed up, was in the middle of the tournament, and he came to hole number 6 at a local, I won't say, who the parties were, but at a local golf course, and came to hole number 6. The car was displayed right there by the tee box. You had 2 witnesses down on the green. Everything was set up to make it seem this is the place where if I get a hole-in-one, I'm winning this car. And lo and behold, he got a hole-in-one. Everybody's cheering and jumping around, hugging him, taking pictures. At the end of the tournament, they have a ceremony and they give him the keys to the car, and it's like a bad sitcom or something. The representatives from the dealership walk up and come up to him and basically say, "I'm sorry, we have to take these keys away from you. You actually did not win this car. This car was supposed to be placed on hole number 4. Hole number 4 is the hole-in-one hole, and the golf course must have put it on the wrong hole. So I'm sorry, you actually didn't win the car."
Yeah, psych, as I show my age, that used to be a term. Psych, no hole-in-one, no prize for you. Hole-in-one, great, good job, but no car for you.
Right. So the issue becomes, and this is what I think is interesting, this kind of law is interesting maybe for the vast majority of people. Can you enforce, is this a contract, number one, and can you enforce it? And what happens in a situation like this where a prize is offered and you perform your part of the deal, and then you don't get the prize? And there's something about this that just didn't feel fair. It didn't feel fair that this guy's getting punished because maybe the golf course put it on the wrong hole. We did a lot of research and discovered there's something out there called a unilateral contract, which is typically what's in play when you have any kind of prize situation. So here's some basic contract law. I'm going back to law school first year right here. To have a contract, there needs to be an offer and an acceptance of that offer, and there has to be consideration. So there's some type of, usually there's like a passing of money, or there's an exchange of both parties are benefiting.
Mm-hmm.
in a situation like this where you don't have, the car company actually talking to the tournament player, there is still, you have to look and ask, is there an offer? Yes, there's an offer here. It says, if you get a hole in one, you get a car. So,
and as a participant in the tournament, I would imagine that constitutes, hey, I'm choosing to enter this contract, so to speak. Like, I've chosen to enter the event. I'm choosing to participate in all the things that gives me. And probably he paid an entry to get in the event. So
I'm sure he did. And, what typically would happen with a contract is you would negotiate a contract and the terms of the contract, and, there's all parties agree, and then they perform the contract. This happens every day in your life when you're entering into contracts. In a unilateral contract like this, where there's a prize, you're not actually accepting the offer until you perform it. So the minute our client got the hole in one, he accepted the offer and he performed the terms of the contract all at once. And it became, the car dealership's obligation to award him the car. So what the defendant in the case was arguing, they said, we had our own contract with the golf course, the people who were helping run the tournament. We also had a contract, and John, we'll pause in a second and have you talk about insurance for these types of situations. They did have an insurance contract. They insured this prize, this transaction, but on that insurance contract, they had to specify which hole. And they did on the contract say it's for hole number 4. That was their intent. They wanted it on hole number 4. So let's pause here briefly and talk about insurance for prizes and things like that. If you're a business owner, you want to run a tournament, or you want to donate a large prize like this, what kind of options do our business owners have to protect themselves, financially?
Yeah, it's an easy policy. There's a few companies that specialize in this, and they're very specific. Typically, it's not necessarily a whole number, but it's a minimum yardage is really what they say is, hey, the hole or the tee box has to be 175 yards from the hole. There's some stipulations around the contract. So I'm sure in this contract it was, hey, hole number 4 is 178 yards. It met the requirements of the insurance contract part of it. And if I remember right, somehow the golf course didn't know or made a mistake and put it on the wrong hole. This golf course that we're talking about, hole number 4 is a par 3 and hole number 6 is a par 3. And they're real close to each other. So I'm sure, when the golf course said, hey, go set up a hole in one prize, great, where's it going? Oh, I don't know, put it on 6. They didn't, I'm sure there wasn't any malintent, so to speak, but it's very specific on the contract, on the insurance policy, that it has to be a certain yardage and that sort of thing. And they pay a premium based on that yardage even. Yeah. So it's very, the insurance side of it is pretty specific, and it's a pretty interesting, I always love helping people with it. We really don't make any money doing it, but it's just kind of fun to, participate and do it. But
yeah. And so I know they had purchased insurance. What came out in the litigation was apparently this dealership had been a part of this tournament. This is a tournament that happened often. It was an annual thing. I don't know if they'd ever had a hole in one before this year.
Probably not.
But they always had a vehicle available. And what came out of the litigation is that this golf course always put it on hole number 6. And they said it was because there wasn't room on hole number 4 to put a car by the tee box. Hole number 6 had the best space for it. And the golf course claimed that the dealership knew that. They knew that this was a regular practice for them to put it and set it up on hole number 6, and that didn't seem to be a problem in the past, and maybe because nothing ever happened. And so what became very crucial to the litigation, there was a lot of motions to dismiss, amended complaints, and all these things, because we were all just trying to figure out what, understandably, the dealership felt this isn't fair. We said it should be for hole number 4, and, you put it on hole number 6. They wanted to bring in the golf course and different parties to like be a part of the litigation. And we said, no, the law says if you are offering a vehicle, and if a golfer walks up to, a hole, and at the tee box, everything's presented, it's as if you did intend for it to be on hole number 6. It doesn't matter what you actually thought. It's what was presented to the party who accepted the offer. Once he accepts and he performs, doesn't matter what you actually intended, because the apparent intent, the manifest intent, was that if you get a hole in one on this hole, you get the car. So that was very interesting that it came out. Didn't really matter what the dealership's original intent was. What mattered was what it looked like to the party performing. So I think that's important to know. And they wanted to argue, well, the golf course was negligent in how they set it all up. And we said, you can't bring them into this dispute. Our dispute is with you. And what you can do is then, if you end up having to pay damages or give us the car, you can turn around to the golf course for an indemnification, suit. They could say, we had to pay out because of your negligence. You owe us this money. So they kept trying to bring in the golf course, and we were very adamant, no, you can't do that. And the judge agreed with us. And so ultimately we were successful. They did, I think we ended up getting the fair market value of the vehicle. They paid it in cash to our client. And I don't know if they ever went and did an indemnification against the golf course. But I do think an important lesson was learned. And that is, if you really want to make sure that your car is getting put on the correct hole, you better send a representative up there while it's being set up. I don't think they had anybody at the tournament from their dealership to say, hey, this is where it goes. They just kind of showed up at the end, like, wait, that's not. So I think best practices would be, if you're going to offer a car as a hole-in-one prize, you should probably have somebody there to make sure it's where you want it to be.
And a lot of times these are charities that aren't, don't necessarily have the admin strength staff to run this kind of stuff. And if something happens like this, typically the charity involved is like, oh, they don't have any money, or, if they do, it just gets real complicated, I guess. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's great. I hope people watching, learn a little something, because you wouldn't think of it necessarily as being that way. Is, hey, if you offer this, just know it doesn't matter what the insurance says. You're on the hook for the, here's the way it looks. So if they make that hole in one, make sure the insurance is accurate, I guess, is probably one of the other lessons to learn is, make sure if you're providing this prize, there are lots of these situations. So it's interesting, but if you're running a tournament or if you're on a staff, make sure it's legit, because, nowadays cars are not cheap, and, it could be
expensive. And
$50,000 mistake.
I think it was a missed PR opportunity also for this dealership, because this was a charity golf tournament, and it wasn't, you might sometimes, there's a spectrum of charity golf tournaments. This particular one, our client, he was not a very wealthy man. I don't even think he owned a vehicle, and he was older. And so it really felt like this would have been a really great thing for him. He was going to get a car. He didn't have a car. It's not like, oh, I'm getting this is my third car and I don't really need it. This guy could really use the car. It was going to be an awesome thing. And the dealership could have just said, that's on us. We're going to give it to you. Avoided the suit. And our firm gave them that opportunity multiple times without filing a lawsuit. We said, do the right thing here, or else.
And they didn't do it. Wow.
It's going to become public. And then they didn't want to. And so guess what?
It became public.
He caught wind of it and it's all over.
Yeah. Everybody heard about that locally that was a golfer for sure. Marie, I actually was with somebody, one of the agents in my office, Paul Fricks. I was on the tee when he made a hole-in-one and won a Mercedes-Benz.
Are you serious?
So I was, and the funniest thing of the whole deal is after he hits the shot, he makes it hole-in-one. The Mercedes is sitting right next to the tee, it's a little convertible Mercedes. Okay. And he takes his club and he's so excited, he throws the club up in the air.
Don't tell me.
And it's...
Does it hit the Mercedes?
And it comes within 6 inches of landing on the hood of the Mercedes after he had won it. So it was complete chaos. We were going crazy, high-fiving. Oh my gosh, you just won a Mercedes coupe convertible. It was a really cool little Mercedes, but it was. Did
he actually win it? They gave it to him.
Oh yeah, it was. It was on the right hole. It was insured and Mercedes.
I would imagine if, I'm sure it was a similar celebration in this case. Not be.
Everybody knew about it. Everybody knew that he won a Mercedes, and Mercedes, I'm sure, used it to their advantage. And I don't know how many cars they sold, but it was a very good PR event for them.
It's great. It's generous. And really, I guess they're insuring it on the back end. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
But it's just a really cool thing that businesses do. And so can you imagine though, them walking up and saying, sorry, I actually didn't win it. And the confusion, I don't understand. It was right here. I did it on this hole. The witnesses were down there. I don't understand.
Right. Yeah. I feel bad for the gentleman that won it, because
I would not want to be that rep. I wouldn't want to be the rep that has to go take the keys away either.
Yeah.
Part of their argument too was they had like this little sign, it was like this big, that, the kind that pokes into the ground, a little cardboard thing. And it had the picture of the vehicle. And at the very tiny print, in the bottom corner, it said hole 4.
Oh.
And I think maybe they had it. I don't know if they had put that also on hole 6, but they tried to say, see, this shows our intent that it was supposed to be, but it was like, dude, that compared to everything else set up on hole number 6, like it doesn't matter. Like nobody saw that. Or nobody would question, nobody be like, wait, well, I'm confused. This little thing says hole 4, but you have it here on hole. I mean, you don't ever think you're actually going to get a hole-in-one.
Right. Yeah. But in case it happens to you, there you go. There's your tidbit of information.
In case it happens to you as a golfer or any person who's winning a prize, just know, there's a recourse. Call us. Apparently we're experts now in prize law. But also in case it happens to you as either if you're running a tournament or you're a business and you want to be charitable, we want to encourage businesses to do charitable things like this and sponsor stuff. Again, I feel bad on some level, even as the plaintiff's attorney. I feel bad that this happened to the dealership, but there are certainly things that could have been done to prevent it from happening this way. Don't let it happen to you. Make sure maybe you have to be more involved, or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, cool. Awesome story. Thank you for sharing that information. And I think that gets us to the end of our time. If you're out there, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like us on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your information on podcasts. And thanks, Marie, for joining us again. And we will see you soon.
Always a good time.
Yeah. Thanks. Talk to you soon.